Right, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. It is Monday, December 8th, 2025, and this is a public meeting of the School Board of West Bend Joint School District Number 1. More than 24 hours prior to the meeting, notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of this meeting was posted at the entrance doors of the Education Service Center and on the district website. It was also sent to the West Bend Community Memorial Library, the Daily News, WRYU, the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and other media sources that have requested notice of our meetings. I'm going to pause now to ask Superintendent Wimmer to confirm that this meeting was properly posted.
Yes, it was.
Great, thank you. Please rise and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. We recognize a quorum of our board. We have 4 of our members present. Tonight, Chris Jenkins, Kelly Lang, and Chad Temez are absent and excused, and we look forward to seeing them at a future meeting. Next on our agenda is to consider approval of this agenda. And because we have a smaller group tonight, I'm going to make a motion that we amend our agenda tonight. Superintendent Wimmer, we had an item on the agenda that was to be discussed in executive session, and I think in discussion we thought it was best that we have a broader group to make that discussion even more effective. So what I would ask is that we consider deleting items on the agenda numbered 10, which is adjourn into executive session, and item 11, which would be reconvene into open session. That means we would just do a standard adjournment tonight. So I would make that motion to delete those items. Is there a second? Thank you, Melanie. We have a motion and second to amend our agenda. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The 4 of us are in agreement. We have an approved agenda. Thank you very much. And tonight we have a number of recognitions, some exciting recognitions. We're going to start with the Head Start Program National Award recognition. So we are excited to ask Jamie Malsom, our program director, to come to the podium and to lead us through this. Come on up. Superintendent Wimmer, you may have a camera.
Yep, I'm taking photos.
Fantastic.
Thank you. We're on?
We are on.
Okay. I'm going to just take a moment, if you don't mind, to invite our staff that have come up or come tonight to join us as well.
That's fantastic. And as you introduce them, if we can get some directional help to make sure we can get you all in the camera, so in the camera angle, and for those who are viewing at home.
Got it? Okay. Yeah. Oh, you guys can go behind me. They practiced.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Now we're going to start off with a song.
Okay.
No? Yes. No? Yes. Okay. Well, I was worried that might happen, so I did prepare a little something to say kind of more formally, because when I talk about these folks and everything that they do, I do tend to get a little bit choked up, so bear with me. On behalf of our entire Head Start community, I want to say thank you to the board, to Superintendent Wimmer and the Office of Head Start for this incredible recognition. Receiving the Program of Excellence Award is truly an honor. It means we're meeting the highest standards in our field. More importantly, it means that we are diligently meeting our mission of preparing all students for kindergarten and supporting our families in meeting their goals. To be here tonight isn't just about celebrating this achievement, though. It's about talking about and acknowledging our shared commitment to service that drives every single person you see standing behind me here. It's also about acknowledging the board, present and past, and the superintendents on our history here who have committed to this program and understand the impact it has on this community. I like to say, because I think that's a pretty remarkable thing, that the West Bend School District has owned the grant for the Head Start program in this community for 47 years. So that's pretty amazing. So thank you to you guys for that. This award mostly belongs to these staff and a lot of other staff who couldn't join us tonight, but the staff standing behind me. They are truly the heart and soul of this program. Their excellence lies in each teacher who's guided a child through a tough moment, a support staff who helps a child say goodbye to a parent with tears in their eyes, and they wipe those child's tears and sometimes the parent's tears as well. And then they send a picture home showing that child happily playing with friends. It lies in the family advocate who works through a challenging situation with a family and then celebrates when mom earns her degree. Collaboratively, they celebrate that together. It lies in our community partners. I know Melissa is here tonight from the YMCA, who ensure a smooth transition from RAP care to 4K and back. Thank you for showing up every day and lifting others. I know this team pledges to continue to be an anchor for this community for 47 more years and hopefully beyond. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my instructional coach, Yvette Bialfas, who took a chance and dove into the extensive application to be considered for this award. I often come to her with crazy ideas, and she doesn't tell me I'm crazy. She just says, let's do it, let's go for it, and I appreciate that, so thank you. And to my staff, it is truly a privilege to serve alongside you every single day. Thank you for everything that you do, and congratulations to you guys on this amazing and very well-deserved honor. Thank you. Okay, ready? Fantastic banner that they've had printed that hangs outside.
Of course, we want to make an opportunity to make sure that we can record this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight and for being recognized. This is an absolutely stellar achievement. And just to think about how many lives you have each individually touched over the years and the positive influence on our families and on our students, your tireless efforts, the excellence that you have shown, it is just very appropriate that we had this opportunity to recognize you. And just want to know our board sees it, our community sees it. You deserve this recognition. Thank you so much for all you do for our community and for the district. Another round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for coming. We appreciate it very much. And our recognitions don't stop there. We have another recognition for state recognition for West Boys Cross Country. And Aaron Felber is in the group. Thank you. You're going to come to the podium and you're going to walk us through this recognition.
Hello, thank you so much for having us. I'm excited to have our entire West Boys varsity cross country team here with our head coach, Alec Miller, to get recognition for making it to state. So you guys can all come on up.
Yeah, so I'm Alec Miller. This was my 6th season coaching cross country, my first as head coach. I'm extremely proud to introduce the West Boys cross country team and acknowledging their success this year. So the Westman West Boys cross country, I'm going to do a little bit of history here while we have a chance to give ourselves a plug to the community. We have a really strong history, but what was surprising, at least to us coaches, is that we discovered that this success dates back to 1950. This history includes 4 top 5 finishes at the state championship meet, including a top 3 individual finish in the years 1952 to 1958, a first place finish at the Division I state championships in 1993, 9 state trips in a 10-year span from 2012 to 2021, including 5 top 10 team finishes and 2 top 10 individuals at the Division I level, 13 conference team championships since 1970, 12 individual conference champions since 1970, and this year's team gets to join this list of strong and rich history, earning a Glacial Trails Conference team and individual title, and also finished 11th overall in a strong WIAA Division I state championship race. So I'm going to go through the team here. Raise your hand as I say your name. Senior captain, Ethan Hackman. Ethan finished 20th individually and finishes out his career qualifying for state all 4 seasons, which is an incredible accomplishment. And he holds the title as the 5th fastest runner in West Bend West history. Sophomore Cade Wani. Cade finished 25th overall at the state meet and is the 3rd fastest runner in West Bend West history and was our 2025 Glacial Trails Conference individual champion. Junior Carter Hackman. Carter finished 53rd overall at the state meet and is the 11th fastest junior in West Bend West history. Junior Ethan Schnell finished 153rd at the state meet and was a consistent runner in the heart of our order. Freshman Colin Weber took 170th place overall at the state meet and was the 21st fastest freshman in West Bend West history. Senior Austin Foose. Austin was another consistent runner for us, finishing 176th overall at the state meet. Sophomore Christopher Barnes took 178th place at the state meet and is the 38th fastest sophomore in West Bend West history. Senior captain Colin Healy was an alternate for us on the state team and a strong team leader. Freshman Isaac Lothar. Isaac was an alternate on the state team and is the 29th all-time fastest freshman in West Bend West history. Who cannot be here today is sophomore Cole Navalis, was an alternate on the state team and is the 34th fastest freshman in West Bend West history. And then we also have coaches, assistant coach Mike Kelly and assistant coach Peyton Janto that contributed to the success of this team. So as you hear their team and individual accolades, this West Bend West boys cross country team is exceptional and has much to be proud of. Thank you to the school board for the opportunity to be recognized by our community.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight. Congratulations. These are really impressive accomplishments. And obviously, this doesn't just come automatically. It takes time and dedication and effort and energy. We also appreciate you coming tonight because there are probably more fun places to be than a school board meeting on a cold winter night. But thank you for allowing us to recognize you. These are really impressive accomplishments. You should be proud, and we look forward to seeing more. And there are a couple of seniors in the group, right? Raise your hand again, seniors, right? Okay. Well, congratulations on that as well. And whatever comes forward, do you have plans for next year? Still thinking about it? Anyone going to college? Got other plans? What do you think? Still thinking? Yeah. Well, whatever you decide to do, best wishes to there too. So thank you very much. And thank you also to the coaches and the families that help out. Obviously very, very important in these kids' lives too. So thank you again. Appreciate it. What we're going to do now is actually we're going to hear from our student representative reports, and then we'll have an opportunity for folks to leave, although we always love it when people stay for school board meetings. But we're going to invite our student representatives forward. We have Haley Kister, we have Isabella Downs, and we have Quinn Matthey. And so what we'll just ask is, for the benefit of folks who are watching from home, just introduce yourselves, and we look forward to hearing your report.
Hi, my name is Haley Kister. I'm a senior at East West Bend High School. I will be introducing student life and academics that is happening at our high school. The Culture and Climate staff team brought in Music Monday before school starts, so students are welcome with good vibes on early Monday morning to start the week off great. The all-school bingo game occurred during resource and was fun and eventful. Congrats to all of our winners. Scholarship Night is kicking off on December 8th, which is tonight, where students can come and get information on how to apply and what scholarships are being offered. On Wednesday, December 17th, students will be able to take the ASVAB test, which measures developed abilities so students get a good insight into what careers might best fit them in the future. On December 15th, the high school orchestra concert will start at 6:30 in the high school auditorium and will be on WTKM on the 18th at 6. The station partnered with Moss Jewelers this year, so thank you to both for sponsoring the amazing event at our school. The Winter Choir concert is happening on December 18th in the high school auditorium from 7 to 8:30. I will now give it to Bella Downs.
I have a little bit to talk about for clubs and co-curriculars, and then I have our teacher shout out. So from December 8th to December 11th, our environmental club SEED is hosting a toy drive. There's bins in each one of our science classrooms to collect new and used toys to save them from landfills. And then the toys are going to go to students at DeCoral Elementary to make each kid's Christmas magical. Our drama club put on their fall play Puffs with performances taking place November 14th, 15th, and 16th. I went twice because all my friends were in it, and it was really funny. I had a really fun time watching it. If you went in the second row, you got chocolate and a little tissue box, and I learned that, and I went in the second row the second time. With the fall play ending, auditions and casting took place for a spring musical, 6 Teen Edition. This musical is a modern pop rendition of the stories of King Henry VIII's 6 wives. Our 6 queens are Sydney Broadzeller, myself, Micajah Emery, Elaine Greenenberg, Chloe Bauer, and Tatiana Patrick. We have a wonderful ensemble with our King Henry VIII, played by Noah Becker, and our Hans Holbein, played by Clayton Wadalewicz, I think. Rehearsals start tonight, and shows will be in February. From December 15th to 19th, East NHS will be making and selling puppy chow. All the money raised will be donated to the Children's Hospital. Students will be able to participate in a wintry dress-up days for the week before winter break, so the 15th to 19th. This holiday hoopla also serves to appreciate staff with treats and thanks to our many athletic teams, clubs, and co-curriculars. The high school's culinary program, Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America Club, and Key Club are hosting Breakfast with Santa on Saturday, December 13th in the East High School cafeteria from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. In addition to Santa, the high school choir and orchestra students will provide musical entertainment. This event is open to all families in the community. On Thursday, December 11th, Stuco will be hosting our annual blood drive. As the second largest blood drive in the state, Versity staff come from all over to make the blood donation a pleasant experience and create lifelong donors. This year's theme is Spread Love, Share Your Blood. It's like a 70s hippie theme. We would love for all of you, or any of you that can donate, to be there, and I hope to see you there. I'll be there all day.
I will be talking about athletics today. East Booster Club is hosting a holiday cookie walk December 15th, 4:30 to 6:30 in the East Cafeteria, so come buy cookies. Winter sports are in full swing. Gymnastics hosted their annual invite this weekend, making it the first meet as a combined sport. West football coach Taylor Ripplinger is the 2025 Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Football Coach of the Year, and he also won the 2025 North Shore Conference Coach of the Year. West made playoffs for the first time since 2010 under Coach Ripplinger.
Okay, and then I have our teacher shout out. So this is Miss Bright and her sweet little daughter Thea. So as I introduced last month, Haley, Quinn, and I decided that we wanted to recognize teachers at the high school each month who are going above and beyond. We will choose these teachers from personal experience, staff shout-outs, and general recognition. This month, our selected teacher is our beloved choir teacher, Mrs. Bright. As a choir student, I can personally recognize how incredible it is to be her student. Even as the last class of the day, I can walk in knowing Mrs. Bright will be smiling and welcoming. She is an amazing teacher and conductor, and her knowledge of music is incredible. She is accommodating and always is going the extra mile to make us the best musicians possible. Her class always feels like a family, and I always feel accepted and like I belong in her classroom. She is a strong and kind role model, and we're so lucky to have her. Thank you, Miss Bright.
Thank you. Well, congratulations, Mrs. Bright. Great that we could hear the recommendation. Thank you for bringing that forward. And thank you to the three of you for your updates and for keeping us in connection with everything that's going on in the schools. So at this point, we're going to continue on with our school board meeting. And it's a public meeting, and we always encourage people to stay for the whole meeting. But we also understand you may have some other things going on. So we'll just take a pause for a moment. If anyone wants to depart, we'll allow the room to clear, and then we'll continue on with our business. Thank you again to everyone who came tonight. Appreciate it very much. All right, well, as the room is clearing, next on our agenda is public participation, and I don't see any comment cards, so we are going to move forward then with our consent agenda. On our consent agenda tonight, we have minutes of the November 24th, 2025 regular board meeting and executive session. We have no contracts or resignations. We do have one retirement. We have an early learning relocation grant, 4K program boundaries, 2025-2026 parent-teacher organizations and booster club donations authorization, and a public auction item authorization, as well as disbursements posted to November 28th, 2025. And I believe that takes care of the consent agenda. Board members, are there any items we wish to discuss specifically on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would move to approve this consent agenda. Is there a second? Thank you, Joel. We have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. We move then to our reports. Our first report tonight is our Curriculum Committee report, and Melanie Aragot, our committee chair, will give that report. Melanie.
All right, thank you. The Curriculum Committee met on December 2nd to review updates from the Curriculum and Instruction Department. Superintendent Wimmer introduced the Policy 300 series, and this presentation included an overview of the process for review and revision, as well as the policies within this series as it is focused on instruction. Kelly Downs provided an update on the K-5 Elementary Math Strategic Group, a district-wide effort supported by the Wisconsin Math Education Foundation Kepner Grant. In response to recent STAR and Forward results and teacher feedback, the group is focusing on strengthening small group math instruction and improving how formative data is used to guide student learning. Teacher representatives from every K-5 school are participating in professional learning with the Elmbrook School District and CESA 6. So far, they have completed training sessions, a site visit, and collaborative planning to build consistent practices across classrooms. On November 20th, Elmbrook staff also trained district administrators on the instructional framework. This work is designed to boost student math proficiency by 10% and develop a model that can be scaled across all elementary schools to support long-term student success. And then Adrian Schneider prepared and Aaron Faust presented results from the Book Club Permission Form Parent Survey. Families of students in grades 7 and 8 and Honors English 1 and 2 provided feedback on the updated electronic permission slip and whether it offers sufficient information for selecting book club titles. A total of 151 parents responded to the survey. Over half, 54%, said the revised permission slip is much clearer, and 83% felt it provided enough information to make an informed choice. Nearly half, at 48%, preferred the new version, while most others had no preference. Comments showed strong trust in teachers and appreciation for the clearer format. Overall, families valued the improved clarity and transparency. The Curriculum Committee members expressed satisfaction with the survey and results and approved the continued usage of the updated permission slip. That is the conclusion of my report.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Melanie on the Curriculum Committee report? All right, thank you for your report, Melanie, appreciate it, and for the work of the Curriculum Committee. We move now to our construction report, and Tim Harder, our Director of Facilities and Technology, is coming to the podium to give that report. Good evening.
All right, good evening, board members. Real short report this evening as we go into the winter months. As I shared last time, bidding is currently open for Jackson Elementary in the new school there. We just held our first pre-bid walkthrough this last week for those who are interested in demolition and so forth. And with the board's approval this evening, we will consider auctioning off one of the buildings on that site, which is a metal structure that could actually be taken apart and reassembled somewhere else. So with your approval this evening in the consent agenda, we will work on the appropriate insurance and legal language to post that up. And if there is somebody who's interested through that bidding process, would come back for the sale to the board, but would in essence then reduce our costs on demolition and generate some revenue. And so that was a shared feedback piece from both our construction partners at Findorf and our owner representatives at Huffman Keel Partners. Other than that, we are spending time looking at Silverbrook and Badger currently, as those bids are right now slated to open for bidding starting right around the Christmas timeframe, either right before Christmas or after, as we work through some of those projects there, and then some exterior work at Green Tree and McLean. But that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Any questions for Tim on his report? Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is our financial report, and Lenny Hansen, our Assistant Superintendent, will give that report. Good evening.
Good evening. So attached in board docs, you'll see a copy of the paper printed report for today. There's a couple of key topics that are discussed today, and then we'll continue to present at our next board meeting and from there on, and this talks a little bit about some of those forthcoming items. There's two primary items to focus on today in the report. The first is a monthly fiscal performance review, and we'll be able to provide these really each month, reflecting where the district's budget performance is month by month. It does take a little bit of time to close out a month, to receive all of the data, to have everything hit the books, be able to compile it. So the report you're seeing today is looking at performance through the end of October. So we have a number of summary items here. So just kind of generally explains a couple of overviews around what you might see in here, both on the expenditure and revenue side. And then a piece here that you'll probably see each time that just kind of summarizes where you find some of the bigger items within expenses or revenues, just because they're not, as we've talked about sometimes before at the podium, they're not always categorized in a way that you would find intuitive. So we talk about, for example, things like open enrollment is a purchase service under DPI's coding system and so forth. So anyway, that's a little preamble to it. That'll look pretty similar from each time we present. But then down here, what you can see is a summary of how we are performing in terms of the percentage of the budget expensed to this point in the year. And then what you get to see next to that is a comparison of where we were at this exact same point in prior years. So again, through October, this year and the prior 4 years. And I'm looking for my little zoom, but that's okay. There we go. So, for example, you can see thus far, we have expensed 15.99% of the budget, which is a little bit under some prior years. This does just focus on funds 10 and 27, since those are the two funds that are impacted by the revenue limit. And then you can see that breakdown by category here. This next table gets into showing the exact dollar figures, because obviously in some of these areas, for example, the other category of expenditures, you may see a large variance, right? Wow, we're at 57% of the budget expensed. Last year, we were only at 39%. Well, when that total amount is only $81,000, which in a budget of our size is a small amount, that doesn't represent that significant of a variance. So we'll be providing this data in an ongoing manner, month by month. Down here you can see the trend of what we have had over the last several years. So each of these lines shows the expense trend that the district has followed. And then the dark blue line is where we currently are. So from a big picture perspective, you're able to see we're pretty much on track with where we have historically been. We often get the question of what happens here at the end when you see this jump, and that's when all of the internal transfers required by DPI to balance certain funds take place at the very last day of the fiscal year. So you see this jump that takes place at that point. We provide the same information then by revenue. We've talked about before when we talked about cash flow, how revenue it fluctuates wildly in public education. It doesn't follow a linear path at all, so we don't receive much revenue by this point in the year. And in fact, where you see that we're down a little bit in revenue, especially compared to last year, is primarily due to the fact that last year was the final year that there was any claiming of the ESSER funds. That's federal funding. That funding source no longer exists, so there's nothing to claim. Down here, you can see that trend of where revenues, when they come in for the school district. And again, you can see it's not a linear chart, but it really has its ebbs and flows, which is also emphasized down here as we get into a summary about where cash flow is. Again, cash flow is where we anticipate it being, but this is a nice chart that shows that historical cash flow. So last time we talked about how that November, December, January tends to be where you hit your lowest point, and that's reflected here as well. The pink line is this year, and obviously we haven't received anything, there wasn't anything documented yet past October, so it drops to 0. But you can see that we're actually doing pretty well comparatively to prior years as far as where that's been, where that trend line was at the end of October. So before I move on to the next area, any questions about that performance report?
Just one. So as we're looking at the prior year expense percentages, is that based on the budget as of that time or the final approved budget?
Great question. So that is based on the final revised budget. All right. The next section is around public communication, around school finance. So we've been talking about that, some residents have had their tax bills hit their mailbox already, and a few others are still waiting. The municipalities still have another week to get those out. But we want to make sure that we are communicating key elements about how the district is funded, how to interpret the school taxes when that tax bill comes. We've had a number of questions around, how do things like funding for the voucher program impact my tax bill? And we wanted to try and put that in one place. So we have launched this website, wbsdfunding.org, and we'll be continuing to add to it as we go. But what it does is it tries to take kind of a FAQ, frequently asked question type approach on a number of these items. We could go on forever on this page, so trying to find, pinpoint those items that residents would care about the most, but try to answer some of the questions that we've answered here at this podium before, right? So the mill rate stayed flat. Does that mean my tax bill will be flat? The answer was a maybe, right? So getting into some of those items to help our residents understand their tax bill as it comes. We've talked about that you really can't see everything that you might want to on your tax bill. For example, the breakdown of the mill rate, as we talked about, the expenses associated with funding the voucher program are collected through property taxes by the school district and then routed to the state, who then funds those voucher schools. The voucher schools have no control over that. That's just how the state has set this up. But to your average taxpayer who's picking up their bill, they don't realize that. So this tries to explain, hey, what percentage of your tax levy that says is for West Bend schools is actually not for West Bend schools, but for the voucher program. We also talk about some of that cost difference that we've referenced before between the cost for a local property taxpayer to fund a student here in the West Bend School District. This is a high school student in the particular example versus a student in the voucher program. And again, not the fault of any voucher school. It's more the matter that the state has chosen to not put any state aid into the voucher program ever. So the voucher program is funded entirely by local property tax dollars, whereas the state does provide some funding for public schools. So that information is in there. We get into a number of other areas, and then we talk about just how has your public school only levy grown over time. So, obviously we've had several years of extremely high inflation across the country. And what we did is we really separated out how much of the tax levy each year is public school dollars and how much is voucher school dollars. And just looking here at the public school levy over a 4-year period has increased by a total of 5.2%, which is only 1.3% per year, right? So your public school levy has only gone up slightly over 1% a year. In that same time period, inflation has been skyrocketing, increasing an average of between 4 and 5% per year. So really working to be as efficient as possible with the resources we have. This is driven by the revenue limit, but we've been able to continue to deliver our programs through creativity and so forth. But it does also highlight the difficulty that not just the West Bend School District, but all public schools have and are continuing to have in providing all of those services amidst those pressures of inflation. So I encourage the public, take a look at the page. We're going to keep adding to it. A couple of municipalities don't have their data yet in the Washington County portal, which will help us. Once that's in there, then we're going to be able to give a lot more information around how have tax bills changed over the last 4 or 5 years. Some of our municipalities, actually, the levy is less for public schools than it was 5 years ago, which is pretty impressive when you consider what the rate of inflation has been over that same period of time. So we'll keep adding here, but want to give a place where people can direct their neighbors or people that ask yourselves as board members or our staff questions. wbsdfunding.org is hopefully going to be a useful resource. Any questions about that? Great. So then at the end, we've got just some future discussion items that you can take a look at, and we'll be back in the future with more information.
Great, thank you. I'll just say thank you for putting that page together. As I have looked through it, those are the common questions that I get as a board member, and I'm assuming questions that administration gets. And so I also appreciate the fact that you'll be updating it as more questions get asked. It's a great tool. Thank you for putting that together.
Thank you.
Other questions, thoughts? Thank you, appreciate your report. Next is our superintendent's report, and Superintendent Wimmer.
I love when our high school student reporters are here because there's a lot going on at our high schools and they report on that, so it tightens up my report. You heard some of the students reference that tonight is scholarship night, so their senior year is going to fly by. You're almost at the halfway semester point. And one of those kind of big senior things is scholarship night. So tonight they're invited to learn more about local scholarships available from the Columns organization and others. So something unique to West Bend is the Columns organization and the local amount of giving that our students receive. Our students just last year received shy of just $1 million in just local scholarships. So they're getting some kind of face-to-face information tonight. There's also a college career center on campus, and they'll update some of those forms and pieces on their school website. So if you couldn't make tonight, reach out, get connected. We're very fortunate to have Columns in the community. You've heard us talk about that before, but their annual Holiday Pops concert by the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra is going to be held Tuesday, December 16th. This is a major fundraising event. That's how they get those scholarships to our students. So take a look, visit our website for details on where you can purchase tickets. The students also mentioned the blood drive, and you heard we are one of the largest blood drives, student-driven blood drives in the state. So the students do a phenomenal job. I have not planned my 70s groovy outfit just yet, but clearly their theme was calling for it. I'll work on that. Just a reminder that that is Thursday, December 11th. That's in the South Gym, so you can kind of directly access off that back there, 6:30 a.m. Until just after noon. You can go right to our website again to sign up to donate blood. Thank you, and at a future meeting, we'll recognize key sponsors. There's giveaways, they're feeding people when they, their juice, their donut when they give blood, all of those things, and just a lot of support for that event, not just from our students, but from our local community members as well. So we appreciate that. And we just passed the holiday shop and drop where you could drop off your students while you shopped. If you didn't make that, there's another, the kids were talking about, this is another student-driven activity where kids and families can visit Santa. So they could have breakfast on Saturday, December 13th in the East High School cafeteria. Again, that is student-led. You heard them talk about their culinary arts program, performances by our choir and orchestra. You can purchase tickets right on our website, $10 prior to the event, $15 at the door. And a new event, senior Drew Gundrum broke a 15-year-old school record in the 100-meter backstroke last week, so congratulations to Drew. The old record was at 57.84, and Drew's new record is 57.81. So he just shaved some time off that. So we look forward to, he'll probably break it again this season. We're early in the season, so congratulations to him. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Wimmer regarding her report? Right, thank you, appreciate it. We move now to discussion items. Our first discussion item, I think our only discussion item tonight, is high school configuration, discussion community survey development, and engagement planning. Superintendent Wimmer.
Sure, and knowing we have a smaller team, I'll go through, recall that we had done a survey last spring of current family, staff, students in helping us drive those efforts of what does engagement look like to you. The board has concluded kind of a series of learning around the academics, the co-curriculars, athletics, some financial background on the high school, and we're proceeding to a public engagement period in January and February. So we'll tighten that up before we go into break, and then we'll come back and start promoting and pushing that. But those key elements that we'll want to attend to We're having community-based opportunities, so much like we did for referendum, some large-scale community-driven events. They did ask for trying a virtual community event, so we'll kind of put that together to do some breakouts or some info, so we'll kind of step into a virtual space there. Also school-based, going right to the school. Sometimes it's easier to go right through those PTOs. Recall, right now I'm making the rounds at our elementary to get some feedback from our families regarding future attendance boundaries, so we can start a next cycle going directly to schools. And then also community-based groups. So we often visit, the Legion posts. We'll go to Kiwanis, we'll go to chamber meetings, and whether it's civic groups or other community groups, we'll set up a schedule of those. And then in this round, a little bit different than our referendum, we talked very specifically around some more in-depth focus groups, specifically around current and future students, how we were engaging alumni as well. Really digging in deeper to our athletes and potential impact, as well as families and staff. We also did kind of some open sessions. I kind of did round robins to some local coffee shops and just kind of had some open door hours as people had questions. And then we talked about multiple rounds of online feedback options, probably post each of those community sessions or focus groups. But one of the things we'll want to dig in when we have a more full board, and I can bring a draft, is what does that robust community survey look like? We talked about some options. There are costly options. You can pay anywhere from, $10,000 to $20,000 to host that. We looked at some of those pieces. We think we have the capacity to push out and market and campaign through all those efforts to get people to engage with that survey. So I feel confident in recommending that be a path. I think it's just kind of that, as I said, that marketing and awareness campaign so that we ensure that we have participation in an online survey. And then we can use our next board meeting to kind of tighten up what are some of those questions and what does that piece look like. And then another piece was ensuring that we had almost weekly communication throughout that engagement process. Even just celebrate, like we hosted this focus group, we did that using our social media, our board meetings, our weekly communication to families and community, using press releases, just to keep that communication ongoing during that engagement period. So those were kind of the big rocks that we want to make sure and attend to. Again, we'll save digging in for when we have the full board. If there's anything that sparks a thought, either now or kind of in between there, simply reach out. But we'll kind of dig in a little bit deeper to some model survey questions then on the 15th, if that works.
That seems like a very good, well-rounded approach, and so we'll certainly comment more, but I think that was the desire of the board to understand. Let's make sure we give folks an opportunity to participate and be heard. Sounds like a lot of great options. Great, more to come on that. June?
I like the variety, and we have a kind of a secret, we have a recipe for success if we follow similar to what we did for the referendum. A question on the committee related to athletics. I think I heard you say that there's going to be committees that dig deeper into different topics, and one of them was athletics. Is it during that deeper dive for athletics, will there be examples or sample information about what competing in a Division I might look like, and who our opponents might be, and how that would work? What that might look like for students who travel and then still have to.
So absolutely, they're going to be very interested, probably by sport. I'm sure we'll either look at kind of winter, spring, fall sports, or specific teams. No committee, no long commitment or anything like that, but more focus group opportunities so that you can provide more engagement. Sometimes a committee and a structure makes it a little bit harder for participation, but I would anticipate almost by sport. So if you take and amplify, if you think of what you saw as the tip of the iceberg, when I start engaging and creating an opportunity for all the different sports and athletes to sit down and think, complexly and deeply around that personal impact or what it means to their sport, I would say that they're going to have some really high-level questions to dig into, having coaches input, having athletic directors diving in and just hearing then from kids is going to be I think, a lot more complex and robust than kind of, as I said, the tip of the iceberg when we were unpacking potential.
June, I think that's a good observation. I think we can anticipate probably the most rich questions coming in that area of athletics, and so good to be prepared. Any other observations? Obviously, look forward to hearing more as we go through. Thank you. All right, that concludes our only discussion topic tonight. We move then to the action portion of our agenda. And we have one item, resolution establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $26,250,000 general obligation promissory notes. And Lenny Hansen, our Assistant Superintendent, is back at the podium to walk us through that item.
So this will sound very similar to discussion we had in the spring. The referendum was for $106.25 million approved in November. The sale of bonds associated with that was split into two different bond sales. The first was for $80 million, which took place back in April and was preceded in March by an identical discussion before the board, where a resolution was adopted that allowed the administration to engage in that bond sale. The administration is now ready to engage in the sale of the remaining $26.25 million in bonds associated with the referendum. The proceeds from that are then used to pay for all of the construction projects that are taking place and will continue to take place over the coming months and years. So I'm going to overview pretty quickly what today is about and answer questions, because everybody except Mr. Pickler has already had a chance to vote on one of these before. So we are required to have the board adopt a resolution that then clears the way for this to take place. That resolution is called a parameters resolution because it lays out the parameters that the bond sale must operate within. So there are many parameters in the document that you see attached in board docs, but the key ones are the amount, $26.25 million. The interest rate cannot exceed 4.75%. That is the interest rate percentage that was shared in all of the pre-referendum communications. And then the term under which the repayment would take place. So you notice here that the repayment of these notes, they're technically promissory notes, is 11 years from now in 2036. You might say, I thought that it was going to be 20 years. So actually, what we do is we layer the two sales together. The $80 million sale was over a 20-year period. This sale would be over the next 11 years, and then they're stacked together. But that means after 11 years, part of the debt kind of falls off, right? It's like you've paid off that first level of debt, and then all is remaining for the last 9 years is what is left from that first sale that took place in April. We've talked about and actually brought forward to the board for approval most of these partners in the past, but there's a lot of professionals and experts who have their hand in this process to make sure that it follows the law and that it's done in a manner that best benefits our taxpayers. The timeline takes place over about a month and a half. We'd have an adopted resolution tonight that leads into a rating call with S&P a couple of weeks from now. Ultimately, the notes are sold in the middle of January, and then a few weeks later, the district receives the proceeds from that sale. Anytime you engage in a sale like this, there's a credit rating review. That we had one last March where the district's credit rating was actually upgraded from AA- to AA, which put the district in the top 19% of all school districts in Wisconsin that are rated by S&P. Why does rating matter? A better rating gets you a better interest rate at the sale, and a better interest rate means our taxpayers save money. So that sale that took place last spring, came in 0.33% lower on the interest rate than we had projected. That equated to $8 million in saved interest already before we ever even had a single day of holding on to the funds. So we are optimistic that, or I should say hopeful, that we can come in under that 4.75% again, because any amount we come in under 4.75% on this sale will further reduce any interest costs to the taxpayers. So 8 million saved is already locked in. Now we're getting greedy and going for even more, right? And hopefully the market conditions will bear that out for us. We will continue to have the proceeds and investment strategy managed by American Deposit Management, ADM. The board adopted a resolution in the spring that appointed ADM as the management firm that we work with. They create the entire investment plan for the funds so that we can maximize the return on investment for our district and for our taxpayers. It's a brief summary of the process. Again, we've gone through this before, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. After we complete discussion, then we would move on to a motion. And in a case like this, it's really important that we adopt the motion that is specifically written in board docs, because a very intelligent lawyer who only does this for a living wrote that motion. So we've got that in there for the board to review when the time comes.
Got it. Thank you for that coaching. That is very important. So pause. Board members, what questions do we have? June.
So I know I asked you this several months back about whatever we have money from the referendum and we are releasing some. And I know there's some safeguards in place. I think it's important to know what those are. I think you said 4 people at least have to approve that release of the money. So do you want to speak maybe to that, making sure we have the safeguards in place?
So in order for us to pay any of the bills to, EUA, Findorf, where the money is spent, it's entered into the system by the comptroller. It is reviewed by Mr. Harder. Now, Mr. Harder reviews it as well as the partners as well. So for example, we would get a pay application from Findorf, but then they would demonstrate that, yes, we can verify all of the work that is listed here was in fact completed, because we don't pay Findorf until they actually complete the work. So Mr. Harder's review takes place, then I review, and then finally the superintendent. So there are several layers that take place before any of those bills are paid, which is important because we are very diligent about watching for scammers, anybody like that. This is critical that we are reviewing at every step of the way. We have a draw schedule that we follow. We only release the funds to previously approved bank accounts from the vendors. It's all done very carefully. It's not like we just pull out the checkbook and say, here you go, or just quick type in a routing number and send it off. There's a lot of checks and balances in place because of the exact reasons why you're asking this question.
Joe?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, and so now that we have hired an owner's rep, that review includes them as well, correct?
Yep, so they'll get to join that party as well now.
And that's very valuable because they really know what they're looking at with those construction invoices.
Well, I'm going to give Lenny some credit here because our famous story we really used to make fun of him mostly is when he found 48 cents. So we're navigating millions of dollars, and he found one, and he's like, hey, I want my 48 cents back. And he got it, so.
You can earn interest on that.
Right,
So
That's very true.
exactly. So he's pretty diligent himself.
Well, and speaking of that was going to be the question I was going to ask, and we talked about this last time. So American Deposit Management has the proceeds, and so those funds, we do have the opportunity to invest those funds while they're idle. Now, that being said, I'm assuming they don't invest in things like cryptocurrency or gold futures or things like that, even though they may be highly profitable. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So you're correct. We cannot invest in cryptocurrency. So the state of Wisconsin has law that controls what types of investments you can place those funds in. You're generally talking about federally backed treasuries and securities of that kind. I mean, all of the funds that we have invested with any banks right now are 100% FDIC protected because what they do is they basically spread your funds across a wide network of different banks where no single bank holds more than $250,000 of your funds. That way, if a bank goes under, you get full FDIC refund on that. So you are correct. We are limited in what we can invest in. So some of the, you talked about ADM holding those funds. ADM holds some of the funds, but other funds are placed with our own bank partner, which is Bank 59, for a certain amount, where they were able to give us a really excellent investment option for a certain portion of the money. So the money is in different places. What ADM does is they put together the entire investment strategy and plan that's then carried out. Some of the money is held by them, but in other cases, it might be in other places. But the whole big picture look at it, as well as watching our arbitrage liability, is overseen by ADM.
No, and that's good clarification. And I see our bond counsel is Quarles and Brady, and they seem to really know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a long time, at least in my experience. I'm assuming the district agrees.
Yes.
Yes, and they have the
corner of the market on that.
one, they have corner of the market, and they have the one person that every school district needs to go to basically get your referendum question blessed, as well as all of these documents approved. So they have cornered this market for sure.
Oh, that's good, because there's a lot of complex stuff here, so it's good to have a council that knows what they're doing. So,
Yep.
Great. Other questions, board members? All right, so we have a resolution for consideration, and I'm going to pull it up so that I can look at it very specifically. So at this time, I will make a motion to approve a resolution establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $26,250,000 general obligation promissory notes as presented. I'm just going to pause to ask Mr. Hanson, how does that sound?
That sounds good.
Fantastic. That's a motion I'll make. Is there a second? Joe, thank you for the second. We have a motion and second to approve a resolution establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $26,250,000 general obligation promissory notes as presented. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The motion carries. Thank you for your work on this. Appreciate it, and we'll be interested to see ultimately when they're placed, what rate we got and how it went.
Yep, and you can expect that probably the second meeting of January we'll be able to share.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, and that was our only action item for tonight. We move then to our future agenda items and our board meeting calendar. On our calendar, we will have a curriculum committee meeting on January 6th. We're already talking about 2026, aren't we already? Curriculum committee meeting will meet on January 6th, 2026, at the Education Service Center at 4:30 p.m. Then as for our regular board meetings, I know Superintendent Wimmer, last time we discussed we might need the next board meeting, we may not. We kept it on the calendar, and we are going to keep it on the calendar, correct? So we will have a board meeting on December 15th at 5:30 p.m. at the Education Service Center. And then in January, we have meetings scheduled on the 12th and the 26th, both at 5:30 p.m., both at the Education Service Center. Any questions on the calendar? Hearing none. Any items then for follow-up and communication? All right, also hearing none. So based on our revised agenda, we will not be adjourning into executive session or reconvening into open session. Then we have reached the point of our agenda where it is appropriate to adjourn. And so I would move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, June. We have a motion and second to adjourn. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None are opposed. This motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you to everyone for attending tonight in person or virtually. We look forward to seeing you at a future meeting.